Hello. It is Thursday, June 22nd, 2023 at 2:09 Eastern Time USA, 14:09 Eastern Time. I'm Mitch Miller. This is my video journal. As you can see, I'm not on a ship. So Operation Oligarch has not come to fruition after my trip to Europe. Made it back from Europe. Now, a couple things to report in the past 2 days. Yesterday, my grandfather, Dana Holmes, passed away at 1528 on the summer solstice. He had, about a week and a half ago, stomach troubles, went to the doctor, got CT scan, everything, had a mass in his colon, and cancer had spread to other parts of his body, liver. He got a follow-up. It was and they found it in the spleen, the lymph nodes. His body was riddled with cancer. They said, go home, smoke a cigar, and call hospice. He's 90 years old. He could have fought it. He would have died in a hospital, probably very sick. Luckily, we were able to administer hospice, put him on morphine as the pain intensified. I got one clear. I made it up in time for him to open his eyes, look at me, and wave to me. I just swallowed my own spit the wrong way. That's not me choking up. I guess I did kind of choke, but so I got to say goodbye to him, tell him I loved him, and he passed. I was with my family. I watched him take his last breath, you know me, I believe in nature, in the power of nature, in the signs that nature provides for us. My grandfather died on the longest day, the summer solstice. I can only assume that that is a sign that we should make the film I proposed on this video journal, The Longest Night, on the winter solstice, where we have military groups come together to form a weapons company. So hopefully, if Operation Oligarch isn't in the swing, or even if it is, we can organize this festival in the winter month, in the winter solstice night. Now, this is a video journal, so I do have to confess and get something off of my chest. I drove down from Utica today. Hillary just had a request that I get more hummus and cottage cheese. I could have went to the Sure Save, but I went to the Aldi for credit card purposes. Reference points, my credit card, my debit card are reference points that the supercomputers can use to validate and justify computer systems. Walked to the Aldi, could have drove. Walking back on the corner of Weinbittel and Friendship Avenue, a woman was on her knees. A jogger had stopped and talked to her. As I was passing them, I said, do you guys need help? Is everything okay? And he's like, yeah. The jogger said she broke her leg. Can we help her up? And I went to go help her up, and a lady drove by in a car and said, call 911. So I called 911, and we agreed that it wouldn't help her broken leg to stand her up anyway. As I was calling, the jogger was like, I think she's on drugs, kind of whispering it. When I called 911 from my cell phone, a message came on and said, this is Allegheny County 911 system. We're experiencing high call volume. Stay on the line. This recording played twice before the phone rang and an operator picked up. Proceeded to give all the information I could to the operator that they asked, and a gentleman in a CB shirt with a gun strapped to his waist, he was on his way to work. He showed up, came up to see what was happening. I said, "Do you have Narcan?" Because the operator said, "Ask anyone if they have Narcan." The lady said, "Call 911, showed up. She went around the circle and came back. She said, "I know her, she's Paula." She didn't have Narcan. This guy, the CB shirt, came up. He's like, "I actually do have Narcan." So he came up, helped move her. I helped push her, hold her leg and get her on her side after he administered the Narcan. Then another gentleman came that had 2 Narcans. She didn't wake up after the first Narcan. We administered another Narcan nasal spray. She still didn't wake up. Then as the ambulance showed up, the guy administered a 3rd Narcan. And she still didn't wake up. They loaded her on a gurney, and I told the fire truck showed up too. I asked the EMTs, the fire, I said, "Hey, I called 911, do you need anything else from me?" Oh, there's Zelda back there. And they said no, so I left and proceeded to call my wife, my spouse, Hillary. So, I guess death lingers. 2 days in a row, experienced a death and a near death. Hopefully Paula lived. So I don't know what the odds of that happening is. My wife said there's a theory that a window opens up when there's a death and you kind of experience these phenomena. I'd have to look into that theory more, but people are dying of fentanyl, of tranq, and still the pharmaceutical companies don't take my suggestions, right? That we don't have our pill bottles that unlock using biometrics. The best we can do is develop Narcan, which the pharmaceutical companies make, which is another pharmaceutical to counter pharmaceuticals. Now, I have mixed opinions about oxycodone and painkillers that the pharmaceutical companies develop, because you have countries where it's all black market and gangs distribute all the narcotics. I don't know if gangs are less violent than pharmaceutical company executives. My father-in-law isn't that violent of a person, other than his hunting. But I don't know. So I don't know whose hands it's better off in. Probably the executives that are regulated to some degree, but who knows what they're doing in these hospitals behind closed doors, and if that'll ever get exposed, right? Anyhow, on to something I touched on before I left. And this is why Operation Oligarch is important. I talked about these computer monitors, the television screens. We spend so much time in front of screens, even hypothetically phone screens, right? Go to work, you're in front of a computer for 8 hours. You come home, you're in front of a television for a couple hours. And I talked about how these screens are emitting some kind of signal. I don't know if this signal is diabolical, that it's able to be used to hypnotize or mesmerize people. I've experienced psychosis, but I also was in front of computers and I couldn't remember passwords and things like that. It felt like psychosis, but it could have been a more intense signal coming out of a monitor that confused me. So I explained the history of television right? The tube televisions used a transmitter in the back of the television that shot an array of electrons across the glass screen. The glass screen on the back side of it has three different colored phosphates that excite when the electrons hit them, creating a pixel, different colored pixel. And I guess we had black and white television first, so I guess it was just a black phosphate exciting. And so this transmitter in the back of the TV was shooting towards the glass, which was facing us. So some blow through, some emission was going to come out into our faces and into our bodies from televisions. And we accepted that because we were addicted to television, information, entertainment in our home. So we accepted this idea that X-rays or whatever could be coming out of the television. For 50, 60, 70 years we accepted this. Then we invented flat screen TVs, LED TVs, TVs that would just could hypothetically just emit light and no other signal. But for some reason these electronics companies didn't design TVs that don't emit signal. At least the TVs I've been exposed to, like my grandfather's TV, another Apple computer like this, that's older, they emit a signal. Right? We could have designed monitors and television screens by now. We have the technology that emit nothing but light. We just see the light, we see the different colors, we see the motion, we see the text. But there's all these electronics out there emitting some kind of signal. And I don't know if the government developed these signals, if private corporations, but they could be hypnotizing and mesmerizing people, right? If I was chairman of the FCC, I would crack down on this technology. I would get to the bottom of it. I would regulate it and say if you're going to design a monitor or a television screen, it can't emit any kind of signal that. And again, I found this out by taking a little pocket radio that takes 2 AAA or AA batteries, putting the headphones in and running it across the screen. On Apples, it was down here on the Apple. So light being emitted from the screen should not interfere with the inner circuitry of a pocket radio. But I set the pocket radio to a static station, and as I ran it across the screen, I could hear coming out of the screen, interfering with the inner circuitry of a pocket radio. So what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh, that's just the I guess it's just the Bluetooth and the Wi-Fi connection to the TV. It comes through the screen, right, instead of coming through the back of the screen or whatever. I'm sure they'll say something like that, but until we have a definitive study of why there's signal being emitted out of the screen, need to be open to the pratfalls, pitfalls, and possibilities of this technology. Number one, everybody can be hypnotized and mesmerized by Fox News. They don't listen to people like me. You have people in the Pentagon staring at screens all day, the Space Force staring at screens all day, right? Hypothetically, they're being hypnotized by their own screens, by the signal coming out of it. It's interfering with their brain waves. You have a population that rose up and tried to overtake the government. Were they hypnotized? Were they mesmerized? I don't know. Are they consuming certain products made with slave labor? from around the globe because they're mesmerized. These are pitfalls and pratfalls or whatever. If we look at the possibilities, supercomputers, AI could have been experimenting with this technology for the past 10, 12, 20 years, right? And they may have, I spend very little time on screens, by the way. I check my email and go through my checklist in the morning. I watch a little Euronews and Reuters in the evening. I try not to look at monitors. Now my wife, she has to stare at a screen all day. But Operation Oligarch, what if the supercomputers can use this technology to logically transition a population like the Russian population away from a war in Ukraine, wars in other areas where they're at war or at conflict, and not necessarily boot Putin out of office or have massive protests where people are arrested and killed. The people who are the most free thinking take to the streets and get tortured, basically, right? What if it can, as that oligarch ship moves out of the Mediterranean up to Norway, the intensities and the frequencies emitted from all the television screens in Russia, all the computer monitors in Russia, work to unbrainwash the state media that they've been inundated with and open their mind to new possibilities, to new ways to structure their economies and new ways to evolve their government so that they're still a superpower. They still have their ideologies, they still have their culture, they continue to have their values, but they're no longer at war, and we work together to transition the world to a sustainable infrastructure, energy grid, so on and so forth. So this is a possibility that I want you to be open to. Do the experiment yourself. Order a little pocket radio off Amazon. Take it across all your friends and family's monitors, all of their televisions. Make notes of what ones don't emit wireless or invisible waves, if there are any. I only have access to 20 screens, right? And I can't find my pocket radio to check any of them anymore. But I'm happy to do it for you. I'll buy a pocket radio, show you how to do it. Point is, there's billions of electronics in circulation right now with this technology. And maybe the supercomputers, maybe the supercomputers and the artificial intelligence can use these electronics to work within a population or populations to bring peace to the world. I just think we should be open to the possibilities of this technology. So hopefully Operation Oligarch is a go. Maybe they didn't approach me in Switzerland or Washington, D.C. because they knew I needed to get home to my grandfather. I'm glad I did. He's passed now. His funeral is going to be in a couple weeks, but I was there when he passed. So if I have to miss his funeral to get this thing rolling a couple days sooner so that less people die in Ukraine or in Sudan or anywhere else where there's conflict, I'm ready to do that. So contact me accordingly. I'll try to do another video journal maybe later today or definitely tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and join me next time.